We'll continue with the next point in the presentation, and that's prosumer consumers from DENFO, and that will be the chairman from DENFO, Rasmus Grøn. Skammelsen. DENFO, I'll just shortly tell you what it's about. That's the Danish consumers organization. It is consumers and prosumers in Denmark who are gathering in an association actually towards the big utilities, because people who find themselves treated unjusted from the utilities have gathered that because of legislation that can be of different grounds. But anyhow, there is this sort of movement in Denmark today. I'll hand over the word to Rasmus. Please, Rasmus.
Hi, my name is Rasmus Green Petersen, and I'm a chairman for DENFO. I would like to say we have a lot of problems here in Denmark. Small producers' rights are taken away from us because the big electricity companies, they want to keep their power, I believe. And they also get help from the Danish government to fix regulations here in Denmark. That's directly against the European Charter and the European consumers' rights. Excuse me 1 second. I have a problem here.
Is there anything we can do for you, Rasmus?
I'm here now.
Okay.
We DENFO represents about 3,500 consumers in Denmark, and in Denmark there is 19,000 solar systems and about 10,000 smaller windmills from smaller consumers, and they have lost a lot of rights lately, and DENFO is going to the court for these producers, and we hope we will win this case, because this is a major setback from for solar energy and wind power in the future. But we have to remember, this is not about money. This is about power to the big power companies. They don't want to lose the power.
Rasmus, may I interrupt you for a bit? Yeah. Because you're not sharing the screen. If you want to share anything on the screen with us, then we cannot see it. But if not, just to know it, you know.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with Zoom here, and I have a problem.
There is a green button down, so you could, well, it's written share screen.
Yeah. I have written this down. I just told here, but I don't.
Otherwise, you can continue. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for you, or at least some questions for you.
And I would like to receive some questions. I'm not quite familiar with this now.
Okay. You want the questions now? Then we can start, because then I will start up with a one question.
Yeah.
We've heard that your association has sued the former Danish Minister for Energy for making a new legislation taking away the year-based net metering to actually having a net metering for an hour instead of, and that means there is an economic loss for these people who has invested on the background that there was a legislation saying that they could put up their solar and their small wind turbines within this legislation, but it's not enforced anymore. How is it about this matter?
We have all the documentation. The producers have the rights, and this law is still active. So I believe we will win this case. I believe, but there's a lot of big problems to turn over before we get there.
But I think it's quite unusual that an association actually sue a minister who is responsible for this legislation, and who has actually put in or has forced the new legislation through. I think that everybody would look forward to see what is actually going on in this field. Do anybody has any questions?
Morten, I have a comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I totally agree to Rasmus, because it's the same situation everywhere. And even in these discussions today and yesterday, I could see we have to be aware what we want. And this is power supply for people, and this is power supply for the people at home and in their places, and not the power supply from somewhere, from a big power plant, from an offshore wind farm, from anywhere else. So we have to look for the people's demand and what they want, and not what they have to pay for and what they should be paid from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Reinhard Lansing. It was good to hear your voice, and that you are in here, and I agree. And I think that it is actually not only a problem in Denmark and Germany, but it is a problem all over, where utility are having a maybe too strong voice and influence seen from the prosumer and consumer's view. Anybody else who wants to come with comments or questions? Well, it doesn't seem so right now. We will make a break for half an hour, and let's say that we will meet again at 12:10. And in the meantime, please don't exit during the break, and if anybody wants to continue talk during the break, we'll let it be open for everybody. Okay, wish you a good lunch.